Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's another fun-filled day. Let's see what we got going on today. And let's check the chat line, too. Let's see, do we have the current... Oh, let's get the currencies up there. That's the natural gas. Let's get that going. Also, open sesame. And there she goes. That's a bad robot that I wrote a long time ago with a friend. That's what the marsh is. So it pops up because I never turn it off. I always like to keep it in there just to remember it, to go back and rework it. That's the way Doc is. He's the ongoing research project, never ever ending. We're constantly studying the market, trying to figure out the market. When people ask questions, I'm like, oh, that could be a good idea. You never know. Something makes more sense than something else. When you have to be proactive, you need all kinds of inputs to, ignite that intellectual discovery spirit. That is literally the way it works. Conversation makes you all of a sudden do a deja vu. Oh, I remember that, but why do I remember that? That type of thing. I mean, that's how that always works. Discovery is always a combination of all that. It's a combination of it all. So anyway, here we go, and let's see how there's the dollar index. You can see it's moving down this morning. So obviously the pairs trades are looking better. But look at that. Oh, that's Friday. That is Friday. It's still not showing us today's quotes. Let's see if we can get some today's quotes going on there. No, it doesn't seem like it. Let's see. Oh, there it goes. It updated. No. And still only reflecting Friday. Let's just double check the instrument itself and see what it's reading. Setting. It's a pre-market set and no one's even trading it. Wow. I guess it's that exhausting of a Monday morning. Anyway, we jump over to the Swiss franc and take a peek at the Swiss, and you can see the Swiss is pretty much unchanged. Just a little teeny weeny little down. You can see right here, you can see that the white line has not pierced. And probably the surprise of it all is look at the way the white line on the weekly has leaped through the negative side of the time manifold itself. And the histogram has shrunk, and it's heading towards the plus side. Woohoo! Now let's take a look at it through J4X. There's the Mr. and Mrs. Euro. Let's take a look at the Swiss pairs trade. The saltine. You're somewhere around here. There you go. There you are. And saltine. Let's see how the white line is showing on J4X. Yeah, we got the hinky ashy trying to go red. Interesting. Okay. And what do we have? We got green dots for the last couple of days, and I guess the back end was red on our Chicago Quant, and it's green there. But that's all right, and it's bouncing off of the line, which is kind of interesting. Ours is heading down here, as you can see. So nothing, no real screaming yell, warning signs at all. Just the fact that. Well, I guess there is a scream and yell. Look at the way that white line has moved through the weekly. Something to definitely take in consideration. We've been in the weekly sell since right in this area here. And so, now we're making somewhat of an action move. Why would they be buying dollars now? I don't know. And I try not to take any of this stuff story-wise serious. When Mrs. Yellen, the former Fed chair, came out and said interest rates, raising them would be very good for the Federal Reserve. and for all the investors and so forth. Especially, imagine if they raised interest rates on that $18 trillion worth of debt that everybody's been buying into across the planet. So you have 18 trillion in bonds, right? And you as an investor have to, when you buy the bond, you also have to pay interest to the government for owning the bond. Right? Is that like crazy? It's like throwing 5,000 years of investment history right out the door. So, I try not to get too focused in on some of the directional things sometimes, but from the stories themselves. Instead, I'm saying that Chicago Quant is probably trying to give us some type of warning here. Let's see if it follows through. Okay, let's take out the euro now. There's the euro. We reach in and grab a hold of that. And you can see there, euro is still in a daily sell, showing a little firmness, I guess, or flatness today. And you can see at the same time, we're seeing the same action on the weekly. The time manifold is being pierced on the plus side. And matter of fact, as you can see right there, due to the fact that our math measures incredibly small increments, you can see we are now minus 0.00008, 4 zeros. After that, now it's 0.00006. So you can see here the weekly is flirting and is below FR33. Peace to you. And as we used to say back in the 60s, and a little on the side. Remember, Doc was part of the hippie generation. Definitely pro-government and supportive of our military actions, of course. But yes, indeed, we enjoyed the sexual revolution at the same time. Nothing better than 2 chicks with you in an evening, or sometimes 3. That was always an entertaining thing. So yes, peace and a little to the side, as we used to say. All right, let's see, what else can we say about Mr. and Mrs. Euro? Just a little weakness here, I guess, and we'll see how that plays out. I think it might be just summer doldrums myself. It would not surprise me if you look at it here on J4X, but it wouldn't surprise me if we just bounce back and forth. I mean, no real committable direction, trying to shake out everybody, thinking, oh my God, we're going into a weekly sell, and all of a sudden it's sideways. It's the dead of summer. People won. 2 things are meeting. There's 2 big intersections meeting right now. It's summer vacation. Okay, that happens all the time. And at the same time, we've had populations across the planet locked up for 9 months, 12 months, so forth. People want to get out the door. They want to get involved. See that German study over the weekend that showed that lockdowns did not work on controlling the COVID. There's a lot of frustration out there. People need to get out and breathe again. So I'm amazed when I see people wearing masks. It's like, whoa, what's that all about? So, all right, so there's the euro. Now we'll go over to the cable. That's the British pound against the dollar. See how that's doing. And you can see there it's climbed into the daily buy. So we are really, we went into the sell here, and we are definitely in the buy there, right there. And that, obviously, all those weeklies are feeling the pressure. Because look at that, the white line off of the time manifold of the British pound is hitting the top of it, which is kind of interesting. It did look much stronger going out on Friday compared to everybody else. And sure enough, it is up. It's moving against the dollar fairly well, whereas the other 2 products are basically flirting on the sell side of them all. So cable itself is showing, some strength in there. Again, we always, I get excited, when we're in a weekly buy and we get back into a daily buy, the first thing Doc thinks in his little head is 145 to 147, that type of thing. I'm always convinced that this product is undervalued. And so once we get into a weekly and daily buy, I'm like one of the most excited schoolgirls out there, just, oh my God, the thing is going to get going again, We're going to see some good action, that type of thing. But yeah, I'm constantly in the belief that I take that classic philosophy, and that is about real estate. Location defines the value. And with England and Great Britain in particular sitting there on the edge of Europe, and now not part of the European Union, but at the same time being allowed to be connected again to the Commonwealth that has over 2 billion people. So who cares about China with its 1 billion and a bunch of commies? I mean, really, the income says, hey, they're going to do, just because it's not one continent itself or part of a continent, doesn't mean that the Commonwealth is not a valuable trading partner. And so they've increased by doing Brexit, they've increased by about 1.5 billion? Yeah, billion people. I was going to say trillion, since there's trillions thrown out every day all over the place. 1.5 billion people increased to sell to trade with, to be involved economically. And so that's a big nut, you know. And at the same time, they are at a great location. They're right off the coast. You know, some of these European Union countries are going to still do transactions with Great Britain, so they haven't lost them as a business partner. Hey, Middle Age, how you doing? I would have loved to have been in the hippie generation. Oh, man, the stories I could tell you, it would make it triple X on this thing. Oh, my God. I was about 8 at the time. I was in high school. I was in high school. So, yeah. You know, I mean, you know, you want to talk about raging hormones? Oh, my God. And I have to say that the early 70s was great because what happened was there was a generation of guys and girls, you know, that felt like they missed the 60s and they wanted to make up for it. I'm telling you, it was nothing for me to have a young lady for the early evening and then like 11:30 have another young lady after the first lady left, to have a second young lady. Or sometimes I had these some groups of girls that were twos that would love to get together, and they were doing this because they felt like they missed the 60s. And so it was truly a great time, I can tell you that. It was and you know, it's good times. I'm just saying, it was good times. Good times. Ah, yes indeed. You know what they say in that song, you know? If you can't love the one that you want to, love the one you're with. Yeah. All right. Anyway, back to reality here again. Let's see. Where are we at here? Oh, yes. Let's go check out Turkish Lira. Yes, indeed. Oh, yeah, yeah. And the go-go boots. Oh, we used to call them something else altogether. You know, before they became go-go boots. We used to say... I'm not even going to say what we used to call them, but the last word was M-E, and the first letter was F, so that's what we used to refer to them as, because when they wore those things with the miniskirts, oh my God. Anyhow, you guys and gals, you're pulling me back into the 60s here. I don't know how I fell into it, but oh joy, there's some wonderful memories. Let's see, Turkish Lira, yes. Has it touched the little yellow dots? It's getting closer, and our green and red dots have gone up there to visit, so that's nice. You can see it's still in the daily. Big drop in the weekly, like everybody else, but we'll see how long that holds up. Let's take a look at it over on the euro against the Turkish lira. Let's see what they're doing with that there. FR33. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. And so. Let's see, here we go, activate, there we go. And so there's Turkish Lira. Now we're getting a volatility signal too, like we did right here. That's kind of interesting. And you can see it's still holding up. They're both holding up. I don't know, I think they're still going to go kiss those yellow dots that we've been staring at. You know, I mean, it got to what did it get it to? It got up to 75, right? That was the all-time high there. Got up to 80. Almost 81, and our dots are like 90 something. It's like 90. What does that say? No, let's say the dots are, what is that? 80. What is that? 80, 88, 89. I think we're looking for 90. I think it was right there. The end of that green line would tell us the exact number there. Yeah, it's like 88. We're looking for 88. We got the 85 so far. So we'll see how they play that out. Alrighty, so there's the Turkish Lira, and then what we do is we jump the Canadian, and look at that box that we've kept in there to watch. You can see that the Canadian does not seem to want to get out of some type of little tight range it's in. Yes, I thought about tight. Yes, those miniskirts. Yes. Anyway, the tight range there with the Canadian is holding up really firm. And I'd imagine, due to the fact that there's a red dot there and it's aiming down, I would assume, there might be a little pressure, but you can see it's still in a daily buy, and it's going on its third day now of a daily buy, even with the red dot there. It's, you can see right there, the histogram and the white line is bouncing up again, And let's give it just a control R, just to see how that looks. There we are. Yeah. So it's very firm. Like the Swiss franc, you can see right here, it's going after the weekly range. So that battle is on. What the battle is, Doc always defines it as, what I define it as is basically a war between buyers and sellers. That's what that battle is. And obviously right now, the sellers have been winning since the weekly sell signal here. You can see it has gone down in value. Even when it pops up, it finds a way to go back down again. But this thing is now starting to do this cute little dance like it did right here. And maybe it'll be a super short instant gratification like that move right there. And then it falls into the sell. And that's a good possibility because we do seem to see, overall, it does seem like the Canadian is showing nice strength, against the dollar. So, the math has been pointing it out. And now maybe this could be, remember, traders, there is money out there that decides to take profits at times. And so, these bounces could be just dead cat bounces, but they're still going to be bounces. And I've described what a dead cat bounce is to a lot of you over the years. What a dead cat bounce is because of traders out of New York City, people having these tall apartments and they have pets, and over this last century, people's cats found a way to accidentally jump out the window, and it hits the ground, and when it dies, if it dies, because there are classic historical accountings of cats falling 7, 8, 9 stories and just getting up and walking away. What a hardy creature! Oh my God, what a hardy creature that is. A dead cat bounce is really just a way of describing an object falling, hitting the ground that is inanimate, not alive, and then bouncing because of the force, and then just falling back down again and just laying there. And so they call it a dead cat bounce because of, as I described, the tall apartments and so forth. And so what we basically are seeing here is this might be a dead cat bounce, whereas it's just profit taking, and profit taking can do that. Middle Age says, could you check on coffee? Yeah, I noticed that it didn't update at the sending this morning. I had it up there a few seconds ago, right before the webinar opened. And then I loaded up the Forex. Let me open it up for you right here. Right there, there it is. It should be trading by now. Neither of them were on, which is kind of surprising. How about that tag? Tag is kind of cool. Is that it right there? There's no, still not. Let's give that a Control R again. Tag is not. Tag is an ETF to the sugar and the 3 grains, corn, wheat, and soybeans. It's a ETF of 4 commodities. And then here's oil. Oil. Here's coffee, and I saw it, do this little selling thing. I thought of you. I automatically thought, okay, Middle Age will be on here soon over the next couple of days, and I'll be able to explain to them, that this is just a dead cat bounce, nothing more than that on the reverse side of it. In other words, it's now Friday they almost closed at what's that, like 6-month highs or something like that? When's the last? Let's put a line in there and take a look at that. We'll do that for you. There you go. So there's the close, right? And then let's go back and look. When's the last time this thing was flirting with that line? Are we at like all-time highs in that thing or what? I guess we may be, huh? That's February what is that? That's February of 2020. So that's over a year ago. And then, let's see. Okay, here we go. So December of 2019, we were touching that area. Okay, I see. And then it doesn't show anything from there. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting, They're hitting that. Is that an all-time high area? Is that what that is, Middle Age? It has that look to it. And we're going to leave that up there, and we'll go back and forth and double check to see if it gives a quote. Do you have a pre-quote in the pre-market? let's see. Middle Age says, could you check out the coffee? I'm looking to book more profits at 172. We're at 162 in KC right now. Okay, thanks. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you. I like that. Ever since ice took over the softs, coffee, cocoa, sugar, and cotton, I don't really watch them as much. But it's obviously, you can see on the in December of 2019 they had it up to this area. So that is it's definitely almost a 2-year high, that's for sure. So it's battling with that line, that's for sure also. So we'll keep an eye on that throughout the webinar here for you, and if they do an update. Matter of fact, let me look and see. Let's see what we can do here. Not there. Let's erase all that. Let me get rid of some of those options I have. Do you have the same problem, Middle Age, where you kind of like, you got to remember to pull out some of the dead options? Yeah. All right. Now let's just go over to here and put it in. Yeah, I'm getting an odd quote. 44.91 bid, 47 offer, closed at 46.02. So they're not really giving us any decent quotes out of it. A dollar lower on the bid side, $1 higher on the offer side. Kind of stuck, See how they play that out. All right, now let's jump over to the euro against the Canadian. See what that looks like. Euro against Canadian, right there. And that's that's like sideways to up, I guess you could say. So there might be a little weakness in crude oil this morning. Let's check that out. You can see this is also going on. It's playing with the weekly too. It's getting close. Let's go over and take a look at it. And there is crude oil. Yeah, just kind of flattish, nothing really going on. Let's give it a Control R. Uh-oh. Something blew up there. And so, let's see, just minimize that. And then let's try that one more time. What we'll do is we'll do it this way. Lately it's been real funky monkey like that. Let's do that and move it up and just do, there we are. Let's just do it manually. There we go. So that's kind of flattish crude oil. Nothing really going in either direction. Oh, Middle Age says KC has been on both sides this morning, up 2 and down 2. Yeah, and it looks like it. And the ETF is not reflecting anything either. It's just sitting there. So we'll see how they go with that. From there, we also look at gold nowadays. You can see gold is feeling a little pressure after jumped into the buy on Friday. It's pushing down now here, you can see. It's got that thing going on there. The green line is challenging the top of the time manifold right there. Nothing screaming at us, just this daily stuff right here. We'll see how that dances its way to the close. And then silver, you see silver, just cannot, oh my God, it's like a drug addict, silver. They cannot keep follow through. They just do not have continuity or consistency or conviction. I don't care what you want to call it. We used all those words on the trading floor always. It just doesn't have it. I mean, one thing is for sure, on a longer term view, the product does seem to not want to give up. But when it comes to the shorter term, my God, day to day, they find a way to sell this thing constantly. Alrighty, off we go to the next. Let's see, and the answer to that is from here. Oh, I know what we do. We jump back over to the currencies. That's what it is. So let's take a look at the ruble. from here. And there's the ruble, at its lows, and starting to notice a little bit more price depreciation. It is dropping more and more. It does do its little flirts with the buys. You can see the weekly's trying to do the same thing, but we'll monitor that and see if we get some type of pop again. I don't know. Mr. Putin is meeting with Mr. Biden. I have no idea what kind of meeting that will be like. I imagine Putin might wear a mask just so that he doesn't insult Biden by laughing at him all the time. I mean, there's a couple reasons why masks are pretty good, and one of them is that it really hides your facial expressions. So I mean, can you imagine having to sit and talk with Biden? What a bozo he is. I mean, I've put up with him for almost 50 years. He's a lunatic. He's done everything from steal speeches from Neil Kinnock to, plagiarize Adolf Hitler. I mean, this guy is a lunatic. And, it's all documented. It's not like I'm coming up with fake things here. 33 finds that funny. You like the mask thing, or... Yeah, I mean, honestly, what can Putin... Don't you want to feel sorry for Putin and have to deal with him? But it's like watching a cat play with a mouse. Putin is the cat, Biden is the mouse. No young girls in the front row. The women traders, we had women traders in the 80s, in the 70s. Did I ever tell you about, middle age, you'll love this. We used to have these things. When I first got on the trading floor back in the late 70s going into the 80s, there was a group of women traders. They were floor brokers. And that was really rare. I mean, women on the trading floor was really rare. Maybe a clerk or something like that, but not anything more than that, or an exchange personnel or something, but not actually working for a firm on the floor. So there was a company called Drexel Burnham Lambert. They were like one of the creme of la creme, top-notch companies. They had been around a long time. They were the ones that helped to develop the junk bond market, the whole bit. And so what they did is in the options market, they wanted to get their orders executed, but it was an old boys game, So what they did is they put a bunch of blonde floor brokers, female blonde floor brokers, in salmon jackets. Not pink, but salmon, okay? Tell me that didn't attract men and males in the trading pit? Oh my God. And when they tried to get their option orders executed, no problem. Yeah, they used to refer to them as optionettes. And obviously that didn't last long, because, the women's movement was becoming extremely coherent, I guess you could call it, organized. And so they didn't want to hear the females being called optionettes. So we stopped doing it. But in the beginning, in the 70s, they were called optionettes, the late 70s. Optionettes. They had some nice blondes. I remember this one. Oh my God, she looked like Bo Derek. And Drexel had the money too. Drexel could afford to pay for intelligent blondes to go down into the trading pits. So, yeah. Oh yeah, you want to get your orders filled? Put a bunch of orders in the hands of a blonde that's well built and intelligent. Oh my God, there's Nirvana right there alone. So yeah, but anyway, I guess this might sound very chauvinistic in the year 2021, but these are things. This is history. This is what happened. This is how us bozos were, and at the same time, us male members, we did our best to defend our female members, because there was something called the Union League here in the United States. It's a very old male organization, and they had some of the most beautiful meeting buildings in the center of Philadelphia and all the other exchanges, New York and so forth. And a lot of exchanges were connected, even the smaller exchanges were connected to the Union League. And they blocked women. They would not let women come through the front door in the mid and early 80s even. Still, they were fighting it. And we put a woman on the board of our directors at the exchange, and she had to go through the downstairs basement door to get into the building. And we told them, if you keep on doing that to our female members, we're going to leave and do our meeting somewhere else. Yeah. So, it was an evolutionary time, truly an evolutionary time, as much as it sounded very sexist. And Middle Age and I are reminiscing about mini skirts and go-go boots that we used to call something else. It was, we stood with our female members and helped them become, equal. But you won't hear that much from the media. The media loves to make it sound like we were all barbarians, And then we started putting women on committees, putting them on committees and putting them on boards of directors, and and then it really reinforced the idea that no, this is not a one-time thing that's happening. They're just as capable and competent, and we're going to put them on it, and that's the way it goes. And if you dinosaurs want to be dinosaurs, you're going to lose us as a member. Remember, there was a time where when you were a member of the New York Stock Exchange or your local stock exchange, there was a lot of privilege that came with that. You were like a dignitary. I mean, when I was a member at the New York Stock Exchange, you could get into Augusta Golf Course and Pine Valley, some of the most prestigious golf courses in the world, not as a member. They would just allow you as a visitor. There was matter of fact, I guess now, I saw something really ridiculous. I'm going to finish this conversation off, but I saw something ridiculous on one of the financial channels, I want to say about 5 days ago, and what it was, they were interviewing the female chairman or chairwoman of the New York Stock Exchange, which is a subsidiary of ICE, Intercontinental Futures Exchange. And this clown starts talking to her about, he congratulates her. She's been a chairwoman for 5 years. I mean, forget about it, will you? I mean, it's an old story. So he starts congratulating her for being chairwoman. She's been there, and you can see the embarrassment on her face. Like, what kind of idiot is this? She's like looking at him, and he's interviewing her, and he starts talking about how she's the first female chairwoman. It's 5 years now she's been the chairwoman. It's not like 3 months. And this idiot starts rambling about it, and you could see she didn't know how to answer it. She just was polite, and she just tried to, just nod her head. She didn't even use words. She just nodded her head. But I mean, how embarrassing that is. It's like, what kind of dinosaur is that? I mean, she broke that barrier 5 years ago. Compliment her then. 5 years later, you got a reminder that she's the first female chairwoman of the exchange? Come on. There's other more important subjects than that at this point. But it just shows you some of these people and their mindset, how adolescent they are. So anyway, I'm done with that. But yeah, I felt so embarrassed. As an old member, I almost sent her an email saying, sorry, one of my fellow male financial guys acted like a dinosaur on live TV for you. So, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Drexel Burnham Lambert, great organization. Great organization. Let's see now, where we go from here. Oh, well, let's check out Japanese yen. I did notice that the yen was flirting with that, the sell. We got that volatility signal on Friday. And you can see it's starting to pierce through. Weekly's still holding up pretty well, though, there. I don't see any real damage. So this is, again, another dead cat bounce type of thing going on there. Jump over to the Mexican peso. Right there. You can see peso. Remember we talked about this. You don't have to remember, but I like to say it like that. But you can see here we thought this was going to be exactly like that. We thought it was going to look like this. Matter of fact, look at that. It's identical, only with the gap because of that stupid. Let's see if we can fix that. And it will look identical if we can fix that. Setting. Let's just go to default. See if it straightens it out. Yeah, see, it looks exactly like that. See? Right there. Identical to this one right here. Thought it would. We mentioned that on last week. Because it was in the weekly sell the way it was down. I thought, this can't last long. And just the way they went after the weekly buy last week, and now, you know, we can put that there, I guess you could say. I guess we can get rid of it, really. Because it closed in the weekly sell last week, right? Yeah, right there, on Friday. So the pesos, you know, it seems like they have, see, I think what it really is, it's called, in physics, we refer to it as steady state. And what that means is, imagine if you took a brick out of an oven that was like 400 degrees and put it on a table in a closed room, and at the same time you took a bag of ice and put that on the table in the same room, that when you come back into that room 10 hours later or so, you would find that they're both the same temperature, okay? But when they were brought into the room, they were dramatically different. And that's referred to as steady state. And when we saw that it went into the weekly buy and then, you know, was heading into the weekly sell in here, you know, we thought, oh yeah, this looks like this right here. And there's another one, I think, right there. Oh, in this case here, it didn't close up, but we've seen the historical characteristics like that with right, this one right there, right before the weekly sell again. See it right there? So I thought we'd see the same thing, and we're seeing it today. All right, no questions. We'll just jump over to the South African Rand. And this is Hippie Monday. We'll call this Hippie Monday. Should we call that on the YouTube? Hippie Monday for traders. That's what we'll call it. I don't think I'll get away with that now. But anyway, you can see here the South African Rand. Let me refresh that. It's trying to make a little pop-up, but it's been in a weekly sell for a while there. And the metals complex has been going up in value. You can see we've been in the sell since late March. And then when we go and look at the metals complex right here, you can see silver has been in basically it's much higher than late March. I think. I think. There's late March. And so the product was trading in the 26s, right? And it was up in the 27s and 27s and 28s. And here it's basically the same. So it's found a way to climb back up. It took a couple of weeks, like a delay or something, like a whole month, really. I mean, it had that low here at the beginning of March. And oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, that's right. There's late March I don't know why I went back to February. That's February. So yeah, late March, we were in the 24s, and here we are now in the 27s and 28s. And the same thing with the South African Rand, right there, same situation. It found a way to go down the same way. So that's a good indication. And you can see the weakness is still there. We're trying to get a bounce out of her today, you can see. And the weekly is trying to lift up a little bit, but overall it's still screaming it's the downside, not the upside. Then, where do we go today? Oh, okay, yeah, so I guess that's it when it comes to the other pairs trades we watch. And if anybody has a pairs trade they want to see, just give a yell and we'll go take a look at it. And then we jump over to the commodities fully at this point, since we were just looking at the South African Rand. And then obviously gold, doing the same exact thing. Going back to the March-a-roo. You can see in here, the March was in the 1700s, playing between 17 and 1750. And now, you can see we're trading between the 1900s. So just like the South African Rand rolled over back then, the metals found a way to climb. That's a good example there of a pairs trade, kind of representing what's going on with the one of their main products. Let's see now. From there, we can drift to, let's say, platinum if you would like. Take a quick look at July platinum right there. You can see that has been in a weekly sell, and it's still pushing down. I don't know if this is Mrs. Yellen's. I don't know what's going on there. Mrs. Yellen, we called this the Yellen spread at one time. It has fallen from 1,050 down to 490, and now it's trading in the Well, you can see it here. Let's put it on J4X, and you'll see where spot gold is, and then see where the futures contract is, and they're almost at parity to begin with. So right there, you see 1887 minus the 1171 comes out to be $716. So we've bounced back up from 490ish or 480 something to that 720 area basically. Now obviously we're still much lower than the 10,050 when we started screaming about this particular pairs trade to be shorted, because it's been a winner chicken dinner. You know, it went down to under 500, so that's pretty good. You know, a 50% drop. But you know, I don't know, something's happened with platinum over the last 4 weeks, where it stopped participating, and gold started to dominate. We've been thinking, we've been talking about this. Robin and I have been posting stuff about it. We're thinking that that they're buying the gold because there's just such a squeeze on gold, and that London bullion market's disappearing and the whole bit, so they need to flatten that out. And then at the same time, they're shorting silver and platinum and so forth to adjust for that. That's how we've been interpreting this. So, where to now, folks? Palladium's also, you know, we were looking for palladium to do its go down because of we went into the weekly sell, and you know, palladium has done a good job at that. And daily sells were prevalent from the 20 was it the 3,000 area. They just kept on throwing it into sells, and the buys were just very anemic even when it was in a buy. But you can see here when it finally got there, you know, this particular week, that sell, you know, it's been kind of flatlined through that area, just a little above it. And we went into the daily buy here, but we're in a weekly sell, so we don't trust it. We didn't trust it when it was at 3,000. We didn't trust it when it was at 3,000. We thought that these daily sells were way too tenacious, and the green line had turned down and started challenging the time manifold up in here in the 29 to 3,000 area. And sure enough, you know, it led us to the downside of that when it comes to the palladium. And then, let's see, where do we go from here? I guess we got about 14 minutes, so we can look at, what else? Oh, natural gas. Let's look at the rest of the energy complex, too. Natural gas, nice little punch in the face there these last couple of days. And it's, look at, you know, we went into the sell here in the 300 area, or $3 area. It exploded up to the 312 area, and it keeps on trying to dance its way back down. And now, you can see this week, we are flirting with that weekly buy. So whatever put the charge into the product, you know, short squeeze, paranoia of ice age, or whatever, you know, it seems to be over with. And it was very tight to begin with. It's not like it went 30 or 40 or 50 cents in a daily buy or something, you know, a daily sell in a moving up, you know, a bounce. It was a gap up. We've seen a couple strange gap ups in this product. This one in here is really insane. This one's definitely insane. You know, there's been some odd pressures in it. Do I ever look at GBR? So that'd be Great Britain Index? You mean the Ftse? Is that the Ftse FR? Is that the Ftse we're thinking? We can take a look at that. Let's see. I think we have an ETF we can look at in that. We got the stocks up right here. They still have, look at that, middle age, they still have not updated, not that again. There we are. They still haven't updated that. We're a little surprising. Let's try doing that one more time. Everybody, it must be Monday morning blues, you know? Everybody's exhausted. Yeah, let's see what we can find in the Ftse. Let's see, what do we got? We got it right there. Let's take a look at, we got two of these, so let's do it right there. And I know there's an ETF for it. Let's find it. I mean, I do watch the Ftse at times. Let me see. Let me just look up what the ETF is in that product. Let's see. Ftse 100 ETF. There we go. And the symbol is BlackRock has one. Let's see what the symbol is. Do I have to read more? Can't you just give me the bloody symbol? What is the symbol? I'm going to just try to Google that. My God. They need to... Can't they just be civilized and just give me the symbol? They hide the symbol. You would think they would say, you know, iShares, exchange traded fund, BlackRock, blah, 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 ETF, and then, you know, and then show us what it is. But no. Come on, we'll find it. Ftse 100 ETF symbol. All right. Now they want to give me QQQ. I mean, the arrogance and the ignorance of the Google sometimes is just unbelievable. Let's see, Vanguard's, let's see, JP Morgan has one, EZU, I think that's the EZU we looked at. I know I have one of them in here. No one asked for it, so I kind of get rid of it. No, I don't see that. EZU, no. How about, let's try VGK, see if we went there. We can add it if it doesn't jump out. Nope, don't have that there either. All right, so let's add one. Let's see, which one was the first one? EZU, I think it was. Look up. There it is. Smart bats. Let's do smart bats. Add. Close. Close. And then EZU. There it is. And I think the other one, the EWU, I think that's the DAX. But there's also a DAX out there now. That actually is, the symbol itself is DAX. Maybe one is Zetra and one's the other. I don't know if they I don't even know if they still do that. Zetra and regular. There you go. Now there's the Ftse. You can see it's been climbing. Let's give it a refresh. The ETF has picked up a decent amount. It's gone from the 44s to the 50s in just 3 months. 4 months? 1, 2, 3 months. So that's pretty cool. It's been in a weekly buy. Look at that, since down here. So we can take that, move that over. Take this, move that over. And then we could put another buy in here somewhere like that. It tracks pretty well, there's no doubt about that. There we are. So that's what we've seen since February is 2 weekly buys and 1 weekly sell that lasted 2 weeks. And then if we lift this up a little bit more like that and take a look at this, we're running a gas line 3 on there. Let's widen that a little bit for you. So I went into the buy right there. I'll just throw that in. I mean, you can see where it went into the buy right there. That's really looking back. It stayed in a buy all the way up until that one right there, that sell. And we'll change that color when we do all of them together. And then it went back into the buy literally the next day. Then went into a sell again in that buy. So you don't take those sells because we're in weekly buys, right, traders? Remember that? And then we go into the buy again there. This thing's got some instant gratification going on, doesn't it? And it goes into the sell there. And it goes back into the buy again here. And then, let's see, the next sell's right there. And this time it's been really sloppy, and that's interesting. And that went into the buy. It's trying to go into the buy today, actually. Which is curious. Because it went into the sell right here. And so you couldn't take the sell because we're in a weekly buy. And now it's the weekly sell is trying to flirt down to it. We'll see what happens there. Then this was the sell right there. So we move that. How do we? Oh, I see. It's the reverse. So we move that over. That's the sell, and there's the buy again. 2 days later, and then right there's another sell, and then right there is a sell. So there's the action we've seen over the dailies throughout this whole thing. I hope that helps you out there, FR33. It's a save at. Save workspace. Save workspace as the Robin combo stock. There we are. So it's flirting with a daily buy, but at the same time, you have to be very cautious because of this action here, right here. Middle Age says, what's your thoughts on basil? I love basil. I cook with it all the time. 3 times. You think it could move the metals? Basil. Let me see. Basil. I think I read or heard something about it. To be honest, ever since 2008 and quantitative easing, the fundamentals to a great extent have been thrown out the door. And so, there's talk of, what are they talking about? There's talk of the London bullion market is going to shut down. And so that arbitrage between London and New York is going to be gone. And so they're having to settle up and get that stuff taken care of. So that could be the pressure on gold right now. I think the central banks like to see it down. I think you're seeing its natural tendency when you look at platinum and silver, where they like to sell it more than buy it. But Basel III itself, overall, let me see what I can say about that. Let me just take a quick look at what Basel III is. I try not to take any of these things too serious. Basel III extracts business value from Basel, trademark. Basel III 2009 International Regulatory Accord which introduces a set of reforms designed to mitigate risk within the international banking sector. Well, anything that helps to increase the better efficiency of delivery, and execution is always positive. I would like to say that that's what the cryptos are trying to do because they don't trust the central banks anymore. Basel III is a global voluntarily regulatory framework of capital adequacy, stress testing, and so forth. See, that's quantitative easing. That's pretty much what it really comes down to. Do I like it? No. Do I think it's efficient? Not at all. It has only destroyed price discovery. And I guess what we have to always reiterate, in other words, I think that what we did here in the States is we passed Dodd-Frank, which was a disaster, really, to the financial system. What the problem is that the government created the problems, and Basel III did not resolve those problems. So, in other words, Biden is trying to do it right now. And so, spending out of control, borrowing money that they don't have, and so what they do is they force the central banks and the Federal Reserve to do quantitative easing. So they're like the Federal Reserve is plowing in 120 billion a month, and the European Union's plowing in 50, 60 billion a month or something like that. And other littler central banks, I'm sure, are doing something to their local economies that way. When you wreck price discovery and try to pretend, I just took a sip of water, and try to pretend that government legislation is going to resolve that, it's government regulation that created the problem. Middle Age says, June 28th, something's supposed to happen. Well, you saw what they did with the G7 over the weekend, trying to homogenize capital gains taxes across the planet, which is not going to really work. But Basel III is a manifestation of bad government policy, not bad banking policy. Okay? So governments pass laws and rules that force banks, private banks, to lend money in irresponsible ways, and then the governments pass laws and rules claiming that they're going to support those things, and so they force the banks even more, and they're going to punish the banks when they don't do it, and then the banking system falls apart, and then the financial, then the governments try to pretend that they had nothing to do with it, and they try to blame the banks. So, Basel III pretty much was the QE, and here in the States we had Dodd-Frank, and so, it's kind of like, taking the robber who robbed the bank and then buying them a brand new car and delivering it the moment they walk out the door, and taking dozens of other automobiles and blocking the police from arresting them. So I guess that's the good way of describing Basel III. Government created the problem, government made the problem, and then now government is trying to pass another rule to resolve the problem, but they don't remove the things that they created to start off with. How's that? Am I being diplomatic? That's the way I describe things, Just what it is. It's just a government. And so what they did is I'm not reading the Basel III at this point, but I see the description of it, and it's the power that pushed Dodd-Frank, which now the central banks and everybody have enormous amounts of money sitting in banks for free overnight, so that the banks can buy equities and make a little money off of them every night for free. That's basically Basel. So, not good. Fake money, fake ideas, not willing to take responsibility. I mean, I could lop it on all day long. I saw Barney Frank cry when the banking system collapsed back in 2008. He cried. I saw him cry live on TV, apologizing to Maria Bartiromo. And I bet I have not been able to find. I posted that YouTube, and it disappeared. They removed that, and that was a government official basically taking responsibility. Anyway, this is Doc from North America. Catch you all on Tuesday. I hope everything was okay today. I hope I got my information out to you that you asked for, and I hope I got my frustrations out. So, happy trails to you. Until we meet again. That'll be Tuesday. Happy trails to you. To all my internet cyber trading friends. Aloha, traders. Aloha.